Welcome to the Stellar Gaming Dev YouTube channel. My name is Andrin and today we're going to be talking about creating stage bumpers. If you don't know what a stage bumper is, it's the little intro before the game actually starts. It's used quite often in platformer games. That brief snippet was from the popular game Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Sonic is one of my favorite platformer game characters of all time. That clip was shown only for educational purposes and to give you an idea of what I am going to recreate. I love Sonic, but I don't own him. This stage bumper is going to be created using a free external program called Paint.net. Paint.net is a free image editing program you can use outside of GDevelop if you want to do a little more advanced editing with your images. It's not as powerful as GIMP, but it is great for beginners. I'm going to first create a new image that will be set to my game's project dimensions, which is 1280 by 720. I don't want the main aspect ratio box ticked on because if I do it's going to change the height automatically and I don't want that. So I want it to be exactly the same size as my project dimensions. Now with the new image created I'm going to use the paint bucket tool to turn the entire image blue. We know from the preview the first shape to slide down is the blue box and it covers the entire screen. I can now go ahead and save it to whatever file name I would like. Once that one is saved, I can move to the next image. From the snippet I showed you earlier, we know that the next shape to slide into the screen was a yellow rectangle. The sizing of this image is going to be different. While the width will remain the same, the height will need to be smaller since it's only covering the lower portion of the scene. 720 is the size of the full shape which you can see based on the blue box. We don't want the full shape, so simply dividing 720 by 2 will get you 360, which is half the size. However, based on the snippet from the actual Sonic game, the yellow box was lower, so we simply just divide 360 by 2 and get 180. This will give us the perfect sized shape. I can use the paint bucket tool again to make this entire shape yellow and then I can save that. Now I can go ahead and create a new image and this time the image needs to be a different size as well. Since the width is only going to be half of the game window, it will be half of 1280 which is 640. I'm going to leave the height as is and then use the paint bucket tool to turn the image red. If you're using the most up-to-date version of Paint.net, you can come over to the effects and select the scene carving vertical located in the photo category. This effect will trim the edge quickly on one side based on the value you select. I am going to set the value to 60, though you can pick whatever size you want. The next thing I am going to do is create a new layer and place that layer above the red box. Now I can go here and select the Shape tool. The Shape tool option I will pick is Draw a Filled Shape. When I select this, I can then go and pick a shape I want. A lot of these shapes at the bottom are custom, but the shape I will be using is called the pentagon arrow. Make sure your primary color is still red because the shape is going to be whatever color the primary is. Bring your cursor to the top and create the shape until you see it stick out. You can then press Ctrl-C, then Ctrl-V to make a copy of it. Press the down arrow on your keyboard until it is in the desired position that you like. You can keep doing this, making your way down towards the bottom. You can speed up this process by simply pressing here to deselect, selecting a group and pasting them until you reach the bottom of the image. When that is done, make sure you are still on the top layer. Go back to the Effects tab and look for the Object category, then select Drop Shadow from the options. This will give you the option to change the color of the shadow. We obviously want it to be black and not red, so I'll just drag the slider down until the shadow color shows as black. Once I press OK, you can see the result, which looks like nothing we want to use. To fix this, we need to shift the current layer towards the bottom, and we then get this. Then we just merge them together to become one image, and save it as a PNG file. Now let's head to GDevelop so I can show you how I have everything set up. In the main scene window, you can see I have all of the shapes in their appropriate spots. If we go over to the blue shape, we can see the X position is 640 and the Y position is negative 360 with a Z order of 1. If I go look into the properties and check the behaviors, you will see that I have a tween behavior. The yellow block X position is 2000, its Y position is 640, and it has a Z order of 2. It has a tween behavior as well. The red shape also has a tween behavior. You can see its X position is negative 360, its Y position is positive 360, and its Z order is 3. Now let's head over to the event sheet to see how really easy this setup is. I only have 3 code blocks and each one only has just 2 actions, which are a tween and then a wait. Let's view what each one does independently when the game is loaded. For the blue shape, you can see I have an action to tween on the Y position. The identifier of the tween is named down, the position it will tween to is 360, the easing is set to linear, and the duration is 0.5. If a negative Y position of 360 has it here above the scene, then a positive Y position of the same number is going to shift it down, and applying a tween will make this happen smoothly. Let's check it out. That works fine. So if we move to the next shape, which is the lower yellow rectangle, we see this time the tween is for the X position. The custom tween identifier is named slide from R, meaning slide from the right. The position it will tween to is 720, the easing will be linear, and the duration will be 0.8. Let's take a look and see how it works with the blue shape. Works nice. Let's move to the red shape. You can see the tween is also for the X position. The custom tween identifier means it will slide from the left, the easing is linear, and the duration is 0.8. Now let's see how they all work together. That doesn't look too bad for something that takes only 3 code blocks. Now let's add some text to it. I've created 3 regular text objects with custom fonts. If we go and look at the first text object, we'll see the name, Scent City, and that it has the tween behavior. The outline is set to black and the thickness is set to 8. The same applies to the second text object. This also applies to the third text object, which is the number 1. If we move over to the event sheet, you'll notice that once again there are barely any code blocks being used to do this. For the first text object, Scent City, it will be tweened from its current position off screen to 180, which will shift it into the scene. For the next text object named Stage, the Y position is changed to 360, which will make it move up into the scene. In the same event code block, there is a create an object. This is for the number 1 text. After the text object appears, there is a 1-second wait, and then this text object with the number is created in the position I have here. So now we can go see what happens when the tween behavior is applied to them. Not bad at all, and my event sheet is barely filled with anything. The next group below this is for sending everything back outside of the scene. It looks like a lot, but it's basically everything I have already done, copied, and pasted here, but the values are changed back to their original positions with the tween. So they come into view, and then after a 5-second wait, they go right back out. Let's take a look and see how it works. Looks pretty fine to me. Of course, your own stage bumper will look different and will be unique to your game. Now we can add in some sound effects and things to make it a little more dynamic.
Welcome to Scent City.
That was pretty easy, and this can be used for moving between stages or doing cut scenes, like in an RPG or maybe even something like Pokemon before a battle, which in this case I would call it a scene bumper, to get the player pumped up for a fight. One last thing. You can use any image you want to create things like this. For example, this image in Paint.net can be split in half horizontally by simply dividing the height by 2, which is 360. Just go to the Image tab and select Canvas Size. Adjust the height to 360 and set the anchor to bottom, and you will get the bottom half of the image. Simply save it as any file name you want and hit the Undo button. This will restore it back to the original image. Now go back to Canvas Size again, change the height to 360 and set the anchor to top. Save the file as to whatever name you want it to be, and we can head back to GDevelop. The two separate images are now objects in GDevelop, and both have the tween behavior. Now you can use the actions from the original scene transition project to bring the images together. So you can use this with custom images to create interesting cut scenes. Well, that covers the stage bumper tutorial. That was pretty easy. I was working on another tutorial and I thought this one would be easy to do as well. If you found any of this information useful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if it was easy for you to do this. I like to find ways to make things as easy as possible and will be doing more soon. Until next time.